So what's the difference between bootstrapping a business and getting it funded, doing a startup, a typical startup, which is VC funded? So VC is short for venture capital. Essentially, with the startup, you're looking for outside investors. There's a whole process to that, what I won't get into now. The big difference is that with the VC-based startup, it could be much quicker. The process is much quicker because you get a lot of money and you can push it forward. There's good sides and bad sides to that. When you bring in outside investors, of course, you are accountable to them, right? They're going to want to know what you're doing with the money. You can't go into see VC investors, say, hey, look at my brilliant idea, give me money. Most of the time you can, although if you're in a hot sector like right now in 2025, if you got something AI related that you can show some traction, you can show something that actually can work, the chances of you getting money for that are far, far greater than if you would say wanted to start up a chain restaurant or something. No question. The money, the probability of getting investors has a lot to do with whether or not the sector that you're in, the sector could be like restaurants, that's a sector, could be AI, that's a sector, right? Different types of businesses. AI is hot. That means the probability of getting money is much greater, but you have the downside that you have to go through that process. So I know somebody who used to work for me. I mentored them. They built a startup, got it to about $1.5 billion in valuation. And one of the founders, his main job was to just raise money. They're out there constantly looking to raise money. $1 million here, $5 million there, $10 million there, eventually $100 million. The problem with that is you got to go out there. You got to be able to present. You got to provide this compelling business case so that you get the money. So that's very attractive to a lot of people. I get a lot of this money, but again, you're under a lot of control because you're spending other people's money. Some businesses require it though. There are certain types of businesses, like their business, require that they hire a ton of people. So they needed to raise this money. No question, they couldn't have done it otherwise. Bootstrapping is kind of the traditional business approach, is what I've done all my life, is where you basically use your own money, sweat equity, if you will, where basically you work to build the business. The process is usually a lot slower because you're dependent on your own money or cash flow from the business. Typically, it's a type of business that where you don't need a lot of capital investment to get going. Restaurant you will, but typical tech business you can start up with very little money, especially in the age of AI. I've always bootstrapped because you have total control in that situation, right? You have total control. Nobody controls you because you don't owe anybody any money. But you have to be very cautious about your spending. You have to be very careful about how you spend. What I recommend if you want to start a business in any business is that you try for as long as possible to not get outside investors, to not get outside, whether it be your friends and family or VC firms, etc. You want to try to build up as long as possible without outside investors, and you want to structure the business model so it's making money as quickly as possible. Not always possible to do, but it is doable. So there you go. The great thing now, and I'll leave you with this, is in this AI age, we are now seeing the ability for people, founders, to be able to come up with businesses, get them deployed in a fraction of the time and in a fraction of the cost. So now is the best time in history to start a business. Let me say that again. Now, right now, is the best time in history to start a business because of AI. And I think, unlike what a lot of people are saying, the risk that AI poses is not so much on the small business, but it's on the big business. You see, there's a lot of use cases. There are a lot of potential businesses or business ideas that can only be pursued by large corporations who had what they call the economies of scale. They had all the staff and the infrastructure to be able to address certain business problems. But now with AI, agentic AI is something that comes to mind. With that type of technology available to you, now a one-man show or a two-man show could build a $1 billion business, or maybe a $10 million business where otherwise they wouldn't have been able to. So it's a great time to get into business. But to get into business now, what you want to do is you want to understand the AI landscape. So my recommendation to you is to understand ChatGPT, understand Gemini, understand what Grok can do. You're going to find each of these artificial intelligences, each of these models, if you will, they have their own strengths and weaknesses. And it's constantly changing. So you have to understand that. So for example, I'm recording this end of July 2025. GPT-5 is coming out. They just released this, I forget what they call it. They released this new feature in ChatGPT. I don't know if it's available for the free stuff, but I have the cheap $20 a month plan. And it's just pretty damn powerful. So it's a research feature where it goes out there, it spins up its own operating system. So I had it go out there and do a bunch of research for me. It took about 15 minutes, which would have been 2-3 days of work. Now, you still have to verify everything. The AI is not perfect, but it's getting better and better and better. So there you go. Bootstrap versus startup, VC startup. One, the VC startup, you're bringing in outside money, so you can go much more quickly. You can scale much more quickly, but you have all that responsibility to the investors. You got to answer to them. And then you have the bootstrap where you fund yourself. I used to fund everything from sales. I sell for 10 grand. I make $8,000 profit because I'm in the tech space, make a lot of profit, take the $8,000, reinvest, blah, blah, blah. And I would just build up. I started, of course, my first business back in 1990 or 89, where I'd sell $200 worth of fish. I'd sell $400 worth of fish. They cost me $200. I put $200 in my pocket, and I keep going from there. So these days, I would recommend leaning towards bootstrapping, again, because the need for big investment, big money in the tech space because of AI is diminishing quite quickly. So there was a guy who just sold his company to Wix for 80 million, I think it was, or 85 million. And I think it was him, maybe one other person. And within 6 months, they built up this thing with AI that they were able to sell for 85 million within 6 months. Now, it's a bit of a unicorn, but this is now much more likely to happen than just before the AI age. All right, I hope this is useful. Let me know what you think about these type of business videos. Welcome to the channel. It's my new business channel. This is a small channel. I've been in business since 1990 or 89, 90. My big channel is on coding, which has 270,000 subs. So this is a kind of like a new silo for me, meaning only business talk, entrepreneur talk here.